about justice in the world. By the way, let me start off by showing you a picture which I call justice. This is a picture that I drew that I call justice. And of course it shows a fisherman who is being attacked by a fish. The reason why I call this picture justice is because the fisherman is intending to kill fish and the fish kills him. So this is a kind of, just desserts. But on the other hand, there are many times circumstances in which people or beings in general, any being, animals as well, all kinds of animals, suffer and there is no good reason for it. They haven't done anything wrong, they haven't tried to kill anybody, but they are being killed at the hand of some murderers. So of course it is true for animals that are slaughtered, but of course also it is true for people who are killed at wars. The wars are waged by corporations or guys who want power, oil, or what have you, and innocent people, especially children who haven't done anything bad at all, they suffer. So how is it possible that an innocent person suffers for the sins of the evil or the ignorant person? Perhaps we can say that the evil person is just simply an ignorant person. He doesn't know that he's doing anything harmful, doesn't know that he's committing evil, so he is just simply an ignorant person. But nonetheless, why, for his sins, should an innocent being suffer? One of the possible answers to this question is that God doesn't exist. If God doesn't exist, the world may be as it is, imperfect, and there is no contradiction in it. The world is imperfect, the fittest survives, there is a lot of harm going on in this world, there is a lot of pain going on, suffering going on, but that's okay because there is no justice, moral justice in this world. There is just the idea that the strongest survives. And we can maybe perhaps possibly accept it. We have no other option. What can we do? But of course we can also try to fight with it in the sense that we try to establish our own laws and we try to behave in a moral way. So it is possible to, and actually probably the best thing to do if you believe that there is no God or that the world is imperfect, that you try to make it perfect. The other option is that God does exist, yet He allows for the innocent to suffer for the sins of the wrongdoers. Why would a good God allow for the innocent beings to suffer for the sins of the wrongdoers? For example, God's Son, Jesus, as we are told, was innocent, and he suffered for the sins of all the human beings. And of course, if you think about the symbolic lamb, sacrificial lamb that Jesus is told to have been, the symbolic lamb is also the real lamb. A lamb is sacrificed, lots of lambs are sacrificed on daily basis, and they don't suffer for their own sins. We cannot expect that these animals have sinned and therefore they are being slaughtered. We just know that they suffer, they feel pain, of course, and anguish and agony, dying, because of the desire of humans to eat meat. Okay? And of course, a child that is being molested or killed, tortured by a psychopathic person, is suffering because of the desire of that psychopathic person. So how can God allow all this, if God exists? Now, if we believe in the Christian concept of God, in the afterlife there is some kind of justice, because the good are going to go to heaven and the bad are going to go to hell. But I think that this concept of justice is not really sufficient. Anyway, for me, I believe that the suffering of the wrongdoer is not going to wipe out or remove the suffering of the victims. The wrongdoers are going to be punished and suffer, and the victims have already suffered. So it's not removing the suffering, it's just adding to suffering. Let me explain this point a little further by illustrating it with an example. If God is compared to a parent, if I were the father and I had two kids, and one of them did something bad, and I slap one kid, and then I find out that this kid actually didn't do anything bad, it's the other kid that did something bad. So I slap the other kid. Now, is this justice? If it is, it's very imperfect. This is justice in the imperfect world, because I didn't know, so I slapped the wrong kid. So in fact, we shouldn't slap children altogether. But God is perfect, and God doesn't punish or make someone suffer unnecessarily. Suffering of an innocent being can never be undone. You can rewind a DVD, you can rewind a tape, but you can't rewind the event that took place. So suffering of an innocent being cannot be undone and can't be made just by hurting the perpetrator. So if I'm hurt, of course this is the law of Moses, an eye for an eye, but it isn't a law that could be applied to a good and just God. That a person who is innocent suffers, and then therefore after that the perpetrator suffers as well. The perpetrator, by the way, by all means is probably ignorant, so in some sense the perpetrator is also innocent, but the sufferer, the victim, is certainly not guilty and should not suffer, and there is no point in this victim to suffer. There is no lesson from it, and so there is no justice, no matter how much we punish the wrongdoer. Unless the victim is connected with the wrongdoer. Unless the victim and the wrongdoer are somehow one. Let me show you how I think it is possible. I am walking now in my room. Ow! I hurt my leg. Why did I hurt my leg? Because my eyes were not looking. So the eyes made a mistake. The eyes committed a sin. And the leg is suffering. The leg is not guilty. The eyes are. All beings are like fingers of one hand. Of course, one finger can't hurt another finger without the brain knowing it. But in case of God and the creatures, God, the brain, allows the beings, the fingers, certain freedom. This freedom is of course not complete freedom, so the fingers can't walk away from the hand. But God doesn't control their interaction. In conclusion, I believe that if there is a just God, the world must be one. I believe that the mystical idea of the oneness of the world is the only possible answer if we believe in God.